Hello and welcome to On Track Coaching. Now, last week I spoke about reclaiming your mind. And that might have been quite challenging for some people because we've become so used to reacting and just thinking with our emotions that to stop and slow down and look for the facts and then think from a more rational point of view is quite difficult, more difficult than I think we realize. You know, we do live in a world that is so emotionally reactive. And nowhere is that more true than in the area of health. What you probably don't fully realize at this point is that most of your health choices are emotionally based and not really based in any objective facts. And those things that you think are based on objective facts, those facts themselves are appeals to emotion because they probably paint you with some idealized view of the future and then you decide according to that. So it's still kind of emotionally based. Now, if we look around in the world today, it's not hard to see that the health of the average individual is in trouble. We have chemical interventions where symptoms are being treated rather than the root cause. We have rampant inflammation where people are suffering from all kinds of aches and pains which are going untreated but are a result of diet. We have obesity, and I know that's a controversial topic thanks to the body positivity movement, but whether you like it or not, the objective truth is that obesity is bad for your health. We have metabolic conditions like diabetes and thyroid and cancer and all kinds of other metabolic conditions. And we are aging badly. I think people are becoming far too passive and getting old before their time for reasons of poor health choices. And so what you'll find is that most people, maybe you, are living in a state of low energy, mood shifts, sleep problems, and poor immune response. So what is the solution for you? I know it seems quite daunting that there are all these things that are just weighed against you and you don't know what to do about it. And there's so many diets that you can pick. And trust me, every single diet has its valid reasons and its emotional reasons why you should be on that diet. I mean, there's so much to choose from. You could become a vegan, you could become a carnivore, you could go on the keto diet, you could go on the paleo diet, you could go on the Atkins diet, and you could try this and you can try that. Some things work for a little while and then they stop working. Some things don't work at all, and it's just so confusing. What can you do? Now, the problem with nutritional science is that nutritional science is quite a new science. Information is changing all the time, and things that we tried a few years ago are only now starting to show whether they were effective or not effective. You know, one day eggs are bad and the next day they're good. One day butter is bad and the next day it's good. Sugar was never the enemy, but now sugar is the enemy, and just so much conflicting, confusing information, and it's changing very, very quickly. As a trained nutritionist, I had a problem with this as well, because stuff that I studied years ago is no longer relevant or even thought of as being true now, because the science is changing so quickly. But what I have come to understand, and this has proven to be very helpful as a place to start from, is that there are two levels of nutrition. There is a meta level where what is true for one person is true for everybody. And then there is a more subjective level where what is true for one person may not be true for another person, because we all have different bodies that have grown up in different circumstances. So let me give you some examples. So on the meta level, it's true that highly processed foods are bad for everybody. It's true that too much sugar and too many complex carbs are bad for everybody. It's true that vegetable oils specifically used for cooking are bad for everybody. So there are these umbrella principles that you can apply that will work for you because they work for everybody. And you can start there, cutting out highly processed foods, drastically reducing your carbs and sugars, avoiding vegetable fats, and making sure your water is as clean as possible. These are things you can do that are just true for everybody. But then on the subjective level, and here's where I want to focus now. There are things that will be true for you that are true for very few other people, which means that your diet could be as unique to you as your fingerprint, because what works for you and what works for somebody else might be two very, very different things. So let me give you some examples. And here's where you're going to have to separate emotions from facts. I know some people who do very well on a predominantly vegetarian diet. I do well on a predominantly meat-based diet. It's just what works for them doesn't work for me, and what works for me doesn't work for them. But how do you find out what works best for you? Well, a simple but potentially costly way of doing this is to go to the doctor and get a blood panel done, and then look at the results and find out what your body is deficient in and just start filling those gaps. Find out if there's something going wrong and adjust accordingly. And that is a really good place to start as well. But there's an even better place to start. And I call it the 4 pillars of well-being. If you think of well-being as a table being held up by 4 legs, if one of those legs is missing, then the table is uneven and you don't have well-being. And at the root of this well-being is going to be your diet. So here are the 4 pillars. And as a caveat, bad days and off days are allowed. We all have bad days and we all have off days. I'm talking about the norm or the average. Number 1, how are your energy levels? Are your energy levels good? Do you have enough energy to carry you through the day without hitting a slump in the afternoon and feeling drained and having brain fog? Do you have enough energy? Number 2, how is your sleep? Are you falling asleep relatively easily? And if you do wake up during the night, are you getting back to sleep relatively easily? Are you getting enough sleep? Is your sleep quality good? Number 3, how is your mood? Is your mood on average pretty good, pleasant, okay? Or are you having mood swings and finding yourself just irritable a lot and not feeling great and just not in good spirits at all? Is your mood predominantly even if not good? And also, if you get knocked off, in other words, if you have a down day or something happens that just puts you in a bad mood, do you recover quickly? Now, are you able to regulate and recover quickly? And the last one is your immune response. Do you never get sick? Or if you do you recover quickly? Or do you find yourself to be getting sick quite often and having just niggly things that won't go away? And if you do get sick, it takes you a long time to recover. Okay, so if all those 4 pillars are in place, then keep doing what you're doing. Especially if you're older. It's easier to have these things in place when you're younger because you have the power of youth behind you. But when you get older, if those 4 pillars are in place, then keep on doing what you're doing because you're doing the right thing. But if one of those pillars is down, you have to look at your diet. I mean, yes, you should be exercising regularly as well, but in this video, I'm talking specifically about your diet. Is it possible in today's world to have all of those pillars up and to have well-being? Well, yes, it is. I'm 53 and my energy is great. My sleep is great. My mood is just about always good. And I never ever get sick. So yes, it is possible. But if one of those things are down for you, and for most people it's more often 2 or 3 or even all 4 that are down, you have to look at your diet. So if one or more of those pillars are down and you need to start making changes to your diet and reclaiming your health, where do you start? Well, first of all, you can start by reclaiming your thinking from your emotions, because a lot of your dietary choices are going to be emotionally based. You know what I'm talking about. You know, you're not eating saturated fat because of emotional reasons, or you're on this diet because of emotional reasons, or you're eating complex carbs because they make you feel good because emotional reasons, or you are not eating something because it makes you feel guilty or something like that, emotional reasons, or you're having that second piece of cake because emotional reasons. Are you seeing now how much emotional choices are in your food choices? What about the meals you eat at night? Are you not feeling great because of whatever reason, so it's just easier to pop something in the microwave that has all kinds of weird funky ingredients in it, you know, or 2-minute noodles or some garbage like that because of emotional reasons? Are you eating not for nutrition's sake, but because you want to feel good? That's an emotional reason, and that's what you have to reclaim your mind from. Okay, so you understand now how emotions impact your dietary choices. So beyond the emotional reasons, what you can start doing to reclaiming your diet is you can start applying those meta principles that I spoke about earlier. You know, stay away from high processed foods. And they're easy to identify because they normally come in a plastic packet and have lots and lots of ingredients that have names you can't pronounce. Start going back to good old home cooked meals with ingredients that you can identify. You can make sure that you're getting your water from clean sources, and that means not drinking water from the tap. I know it's easy just to turn on the tap and get water, but that water is full of all kinds of things that you don't want to have in your body. You can cut out the complex carbs and the sugars from your diet. You'll do that anyway once you stop emotional eating, because we normally eat carbs for emotional reasons. You can cut out vegetable oils and anything that has vegetable oils as its base from your diet. You know, that includes things like potato chips, and even chocolate has vegetable oil in it. Now, I know it sounds like I'm telling you to cut out all the fun from your life, so let me just let you off the hook here. It's okay to have an occasional piece of chocolate cake. It's okay to have an occasional bag of chips or occasional biscuit or cookie, depending on where you are in the world. It's okay to do these things occasionally. I'm talking about removing them from your diet as being the main things in your diet. So you can apply these meta principles and cut out these things from your diet. Then you can look at the specific things that you're doing. If your pillars are down, you can look at things like, well, am I eating predominantly meat or predominantly vegetables? Am I not getting enough saturated fats? Am I not responding well to the foods that I'm eating? You can start doing some detective work on your diet start excluding things and then adding things and then finding out what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Here's where your blood panel can come into play, because you can look at what you are naturally deficient in your diet, in your blood, and therefore your diet, and start adding those things. If you're not eating enough fish and not getting enough omega-3s, well, you can take a good quality fish oil supplement. Those are pretty good. And you can start making tweaks to your diet and start individualizing and personalizing your diet. You can look at all of the main diets that are out there and start combining and taking the best part of those diets and combining them to make a diet that is right for you. Perhaps you need to have more animal fats in your diet. Perhaps you need to add some more vegetables. Perhaps you need to reduce your carbs like they do in the keto diet. And you can start taking the best principles from each diet and adding and subtracting and finding out what works for you. And you'll start noticing that you're doing the right things, because the pillars will start standing up. You know, your energy levels will improve, your diet, your sleep will improve, your mood will improve, and your immune function will improve, and you'll start having a better quality of life. And that's basically it. That's basically how you reclaim your health. I say basically, it is quite an adventure and quite a journey, and can be quite difficult at times. Now, I know that some people might be in quite bad health situations and that you're taking medications. I'm not telling you to stop taking your medication at all. Medicines definitely do have a place. But what I am saying is that if you take the emotional reasons out of your diet and start focusing on nutrition, and if you start applying the meta principles, and if you just do those two things, it'll have a dramatic impact on your health. I will guarantee it. I know what an impact it had on my health, and I've seen what it's done for other people. And if you just make those two changes, it's going to have a dramatic impact. And if you're prepared to go the extra mile and start looking at your individual diet and start making tweaks, the impact will be even greater. Don't stop taking your medication. Err on the side of safety, but start reclaiming your health by addressing your problems at the root, which will be your diet, by doing the things that I've recommended. And that's all I have for you this week. Reclaiming your health is quite simple, but not necessarily easy, because you're going to be breaking a lot of habits and cutting out possibly the biggest thing you do for emotional comfort, and that is emotional eating. And so that's not going to be very easy, I do understand, but you can do it. And if you need help and support with reclaiming your mind or reclaiming your health, then check out my website at www.ontrackcoach.co.za. I'll post the link below, and have a look at my coaching offerings and how I can help you get your life back on track and reclaim your life. And that's it for this week. Join me next week when I'll be talking about reclaiming your finances. Have a great week and keep the shiny side up.